Hello everyone. So last time we did a Comic Quest video, and I would like to proudly say that I have completed Comic Quest. However, it's just a little different than how I set out. I'll just kind of show you what I mean. I started out thinking I was going to get Batman 1 to 100, and I soon realized that some of those early issues were not where I started and started reading Batman and kind of left off Batman for a few years. As I was in the shops and things like that, I was reassessing and started seeing these detective comics that I was like, man, I had that one, or oh, that would go great with that one I still have, or whatever, because I still had a ton of my old detective comics. So anyway, long story short, we're going to get into the runs I have completed, and it's probably pretty much where I'm going to leave it. Here are some, I'm going to start out with some stragglers. And a lot of these, if you watch my first video, you've seen those. So we got the annual from '87. If you don't have this in your collection, you totally should. That is annual 1990. And pretty much any origin story of Two-Face has taken a lot from this, be it the Long Halloween or the animated series. This is just a fantastic book. So you should totally have this in your collection. Another great annual the next year, 1991, this Armageddon story, where it's kind of like what might happen with Batman in the future. I think it's like 2001. Yeah, obviously it says that on the book, but what might happen 10 years later. It's a great story right there. And there it has a sister book in Detectives Annual, which I actually think is a better book, and I may come to that later in the video, that's centered around Ra's al Ghul, and it's really good. Okay, so next up we've got Vengeance of Bane, which if you've got Nightfall, depending on your graphic novel collection, it may be included in it and it may not, but obviously this is the book that you have to start off the Nightfall saga. Then I've got a reprint of 232 there, and then we're getting into some more where I actually thought things were going to start. So here's 401, 402, and 403. Year 1, 404, 405, 406, 407. If you're a Batman fan of any kind, you probably have year 1 in your collection, I would venture to say. And then my big trade when I was a kid, 408, 409 with Ma Gunn there. She must have straightened up, because her story, she never appeared again in Batman. Learned her lesson. 410. 411. I don't have 412. I have 413. Here is 414. 415. These are, if you're tracking these early ones down, it is so hard to, seems like, to get copies of all of 10 Nights at the Beast for a decent price. Here's don't have 416 or 417. Here's 418. I don't have 419. Here's 420. 421. KG Beast. KG Beast is still a very popular character, although very underused. 422. It's kind of like in the, I think the late 80s, early 90s, Joker stayed so popular even though they didn't use him all that much. Now it seems like there's an oversaturation of him. Big one, 423 there. 424 that has seen better days. This one, 424 and 425, I've said it before, great two-parter story. So go get your hands on those or find them in a trade. Really good. Here's a very popular storyline, A Death in the Family. So there's 426. And that's the story right there. 424, 425. Batman refers to it in this one. 427. 428. Here's a new acquisition. The Robin Lives version of 428. So it's the original. Now this was the script they had in case it was voted in favor of Jason Todd living. 429. 430. 431. 432. 433. 434. 435. I don't have 436. So here is 437. And I don't have 438. So here is the start of a complete run. So it'll go from 439 to 511. That's about 70 or so issues. So here's 439. 440. 441. Great storyline, A Lonely Place of Dying. 442, when Tim Drake is introduced. 443. 444. 445. 446. 447. 448. 2 copies of this. 449. 450. 451. 452. So if you see what I mean, I'll go back here one. This is the Joker actually returning July 90 for the first time, aside from a phone call, since 88, A Death in the Family. So they did take their time. 451. 452, great story, Dark Knight, Dark City. 453, great covers as well. 454. 455. 456. 457. DC was taking notice of the great work Alan Grant and Norm Brayfogle were doing on Detective and said, hey, come on over to the main book. 458. 459. 460. 461. 462. 463. 464. 465. 466, 2 copies. 467. Need to get that off of there. 468. 469. 470, 471, 472, 473, 474, 475, key issue, 476, 477, 478, 479, 480, 481, 482, 483, really like this issue. 484, this is where Batman starts just winding down as far as his physical strength and his mental capacity. They're just kind of starting to set the stage for Nightfall, September of '92, with 484 here. This battle with Black Mask. 485. 486. I mean, this metalhead guy, he barely survives this confrontation with this like D-tier villain. 487. Here we go. 488. 489. Not Killer Croc's best day. 490. And it's on. The asylum's been busted open. 491. 492. 493. 494. And most of the books in this box are my original books as a kid. 495. 496, 497, 498, 499, 500, alternate cover of 500, 501, 502, 503, another copy of 503, 504, 505, 506, 507, 508. Here's the end of Night Quest here because, I mean, there's another issue, but that's the end in this main line. We gotta start Night's End. 509, 510, 0 hour at 511, and finally 0.